Welcome, Transpac fans. I'm Dobbs Davis giving you the 14 July race analysis for this 2015 edition, the 48th edition of the LA to Honolulu Transpac. We're opening our show up here today with our familiar yellow brick race tracker. Those of you that are new to these race analyses know that we use this as a tool to guide us through what's going on the race course and to talk a little bit about the strategies that some of the teams might be using when they're out there on the course. So as you can see, the route from LA and the start in this area and Hawaii are clearly drawn. So given that great circle depiction, I'm going to now just zoom in a bit so we can see a little more clearly what's going on the course. Notice we've got a banner here that says there's a 6-hour delay in real time from the organizers. The reason that's done is to just give the teams out there a little better chance to sail their own race. If we had real-time trackers displayed, then it's felt that those out on the course that had very strong internet capabilities and very deep pockets to get that might have a little advantage over those that don't, simply because they could then use this as a tactical tool rather than using it for their own race. So we decided to put a 6-hour delay on there. This may change. Last time in 2013, as the race was progressing further west and the boats were closing in on Hawaii, the available strategies were running out, and so the organizers turned the time back to lower and lower delayed amounts. That also helps everyone who's following to know where and when the teams are and when they're going to have their ETAs in Hawaii. So let's zoom in a little bit further. Yesterday, as you know, was our first wave of starters, 22 teams in Divisions 7 and 8. Had started at 1 o'clock local time off of Point Fermin and San Pedro. And they started off with pretty light conditions, 7-8 knots of wind. It then built up into a really nice afternoon sea breeze. As you can see by our tracks here, everybody heading out toward the west end of Catalina, a few people tacking just to get around the west end, setting themselves up. These are, looking at these tacking angles, these are boats that probably don't have very close-winded capabilities. We have a variety of different boats in classes 7 and 8, everything from schooners to sport boats. And so let's take a look. You can see that out here now leading the pack is a J133 Picante. That boat's going 8.3 knots at 250, so making good progress down the course. That's a Division 7 boat. Just behind them is a little bit older J-boat design, a J44, going nearly the same speed. The little crown that you see over top of their icon indicates that the race tracker believes that they are winning the race now in corrected time. And what does that mean? I'll give a little bit of an explanation of that over here, opening up another window on the leaderboard. If you need to get, by the way, navigating any of this, if you go to the home page, Transpac Yacht Club or transpacYC.com, you can access both the tracker and the standings by scrolling down on the home page. We may reposition this because this home page does act as a feed for breaking news, and this gets scrolled down further down the page and becomes buried into the content. So I'm going to talk to the webmaster, see if we can't reposition that a little bit closer. But the tracker link is also over here on the right side of the page in case you need to get to it. But in looking over here, you'll see you've got the race viewer that we just saw, but also this thing, the race leaderboard. And when you get to that leaderboard, this is what you get. You can choose the class that you're looking at and how things are going within each class. We now have Divisions 7 and 8 on the course. So looking at that set of standings there in Division 7, this is what we have. Patriot in the lead. Division 8, we've got the boat Marjorie in the lead. And looking over to my scratch sheet, I see Marjorie is a BBY Custom 59. I'm not quite sure what that is, but they're going along pretty well. 8.4 knots VMG. Nice explanatory messages over here when you open them up, what is VMG? That's simply velocity made good. What is their velocity towards the course? So if you're going at right angles to the course, you're making 0 VMG, and if you're going away from the course, you're making a negative VMG. So that's a very basic, simple explanation. This information is important, though, because it's used to calculate the estimated finish time. So based on the rate of progress the boat is making, either from the start, and you get two choices of modes here. If we switch to from the start VMG mode, this is, you notice that the standings actually change. Marjorie no longer in the lead in the standings when we're in the from the start mode. She does go back to being in the lead when you look at the recent VMG mode. So recent being the last 5 positions taken by the tracker. So either from the start, we see Sleeper, go back to that. Sleeper's in the lead. They've made the best progress down the course relative to their time allowance. And if we look at just the most recent last 5 position reports, Marjorie's has done slightly better. So what that's done is that calculates an estimated finish time, and when you look at the elapsed time on the course and multiply it by the time correction factor, and that's calculated by the ratings that the boats have from the various measurements and run through the ORR VPP-based rating system, and which in turn is then run across the Transpac course, you get this over here. Where are we here? Estimated finish time, and here we are, corrected time. So this corrected time is simply the time correction factor times the elapsed time on the course, and this elapsed time figure is simply an estimate based on the current VMG or the VMG from the start. So that long-winded explanation hopefully gives you an idea on how we're getting the standings as they appear on the Yellow Brick Tracker. And then switching over to overall, this takes both classes 7 and 8. And if we look at from the start, we see Marjorie is in the lead here in the standings. But it just happened to look at over here, finish time, corrected time. So quite a big margin there actually when you look at it, 5 hours. Now the handicaps that are used for this are based on a Transpac course model, and the course model is based on historic wind speeds and angles that the Transpac course typically has. And those that are watching this and hearing this know that Transpac's typically sold as a downwind race, and it is mostly, but the first few days are upwind, and a small amount of that is put into the course model. So my guess is that Marjorie is doing very well right now, simply because she's outperforming her performance over the Transpac course, because she's now in the upwind part of the course, where she probably excels very well relative to her rating. The other boats may come back up into the standings, close that gap as the wind goes further aft and the boats go much more on the downwind angles, which we'll see later on in the race. Now, let's look a little bit at weather. I like to go to this site. It's called Wunderground, WUNDRGROUND.com. When you hunt around on this, you can get this view here, which is the north, obviously the northeast Pacific Ocean, Hawaii down here, continental U.S. and North America here. Our Transpac course is roughly across like this. This page that I have opened up here is to show water temperature anomalies. We've got water temperatures that are very high here in the Eastern Pacific, and that's due to El Nino. Everybody in California knows what that is, but those that aren't and that don't, El Nino is a condition that happens about every 10 years or so, where you get a reversal of surface water flow such that it creates these temperature anomalies and has another effect on the weather. This weather effect can be quite profound. California is now in a big drought for lack of rainfall, but those of us on the east coast of the U.S. Certainly have had a lot of rain, and specifically last winter had quite a lot of snow. So these can affect weather patterns over a broad area, and the culprit is here with these sea surface temperature anomalies. Now, but what I'd like to do is go a little bit forward here and look at some of our weather models. Using the GFS model, which is commonly used by forecasters in the U.S. It's a U.S.-based medium mesoscale prediction model. You can see our pattern of isobars. Here's the North Pacific high, 1030, 1032. I think it's quite a good, well-developed high pressure. Isobars forming a fairly familiar pattern for Transpac. Where they're close together, of course, the wind is quite strong, so the northwesterly breezes that the boats are getting now, just exiting off the California coast, are very typical for this time of year. But we'll see how this changes over time. Now, I'm going to switch over to another model called known as the Euro model. This model is thought by some forecasters to be a little bit more accurate in some cases. Just want to try to scroll this out over here. Oh, unfinished model run available. Let's see. All right, well, for some reason let's see if we can get that up here. 1200 GMT. Might be in the middle of a model run now. All right, well, we'll go back to GFS for demonstration purposes. When I looked at this earlier, here we are. This is actually running as a video now, showing how it changes every 3 hours. You can scroll this down here in this bar on the right side, watching the model change in 3-hour increments. But generally, what I wanted to look at is over the next 24 hours, some of the features that we're going to see, and what the teams are experiencing out on the course now. Regular isobaric pattern, northwest breezes coming off the coast. But here are some interesting features. These tropical cyclones down here. Now this is well south of Rumline. It's projected to move west, and don't know if it's going to move that much further north. If we just scroll forward a little bit here, yes, you can see that a little later this is 72 hours. This does move north, but then it diminishes in intensity. Just going to go back here to our 24-hour run. The real culprit is down here in Mexico now. This is one that's giving everybody fits for what's going to happen with it later in the week and how it might affect the starts both on Thursday and in particular on Saturday. Don't want to cause any alarm, but right now the forecast models are suggesting that this thing, when you scroll it forward, where are we here? This is actually not going all the way to, this is up here Thursday, 1200 GMT, so Thursday early in the morning Pacific time. This thing is shown down here. The real concern is in the long-range models have it pushing up more towards Southern California and doing a lot to kill the breeze up here by its influence. So that's something that has the race organizers concerned a little bit, and some of the teams that are due to start on Saturday. But for right now, let's just focus on the teams that are out there, Division 7 and 8. They're going to enjoy pretty good breeze. 15 to 20 knots is what the reports are coming from the teams out on the water. They're reaching along nicely at 8 knots, as we saw. And we think for the next 24 hours we're going to have a nice, clean, and very fast shot off the coast. Now, looking, just going back here to our tracker. Other breaking news we have is that this boat, Vivacia, they sent an email in a couple of hours ago. Their position at 3302.1 north and 1943.7 west. And at that position, they decided they were going to turn back. They don't have any problems per se. They say they're taking water taking water on through the deck, but there's nobody injured. We don't think they're in any sort of life-threatening situation. It's possible just they have either some damage or some leak on deck. Out here in these Southern California offshore islands, in this area out here is where the strongest northwest breezes are. The waves are typically up to 8 to 10 feet, and so close reaching in these conditions, it can get pretty wet. No doubt everybody out there in the last 12 hours or so have been enjoying a nice good good washing, particularly some of the smaller boats. I'm always amazed when you look at boats like this Fortissimo. This is a Maurizio Cassuti designed Italian-built sport boat, only 30 feet long. They've got a team of 4 out there. At 4.9 knots, I'm not quite sure why they're going so slow. This boat, even though it is quite small, should be going a knot or so faster at least. Hopefully they're not slowed down for any bad reason, but it's going to be a wet ride for these folks, certainly. But Vivacia is the one we're focused on. They've again sent an email in saying they're going to retire from the race. They're looking for a slip to come back to Rainbow Harbor. All aboard are apparently in good health. There's no problems. But this is Robert Yearsley's boat. Its hailing port is Sausalito, California, and it is a Jeanneau 49DS. So that's latest news from Division 7 and 8. Looking in here, it's at these boats. It's nice to see quite tight groupings. Boats certainly even within sight of each other. You can see the groups are probably having a great time reaching off. Now look at this change of course here. This is kind of interesting. Let's see if we can get this boat to come up. There it is, Cocopelli, Santa Cruz 40. We can see that they dove off hard and then adjusted their course to come back up. So that indicates to me maybe they had either a sail change or it's maybe unlikely they had a big lift or change in wind direction. But anytime we see kinks like this in the tracks, it suggests to me that they've switched headsails and are coming around to using different sails based on what the wind angle is. So this dive right here for this boat, Transformer, a Beneteau 523, might indicate that they went to a jib top, a reaching sail, maybe decided that was to try it for a while, didn't get lifted, and then came back to their other headsail. That might be a good explanation for these tracks. So that's our report for today. We will come back to you tomorrow with more news and information from this group, the Division 7 and 8 group that started on Monday. Our next start of a new group of racers is not till Thursday, but things are always happening out there. So please stay tuned. Use the website. It's a great resource, and we look forward to talking to you tomorrow.